What's up, folks? So today I have a little bit of a different video for everybody. I have been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for over 8 years now. I started in 2015 and it'll be 9 years in May of 2024. And recently I was promoted to brown belt, which was an awesome experience, but also a little bit of a weird experience, because I think if you had asked me in my first year or two of training when I was a white belt, if I ever thought I would receive a brown belt, I probably would have said, no, it'll never happen. And so this video, I'm gonna go over 5 things that I think I've learned along the way that helped bridge the gap from the person I was as a white belt to where I am now as a brown belt. And this video is aimed at hopefully helping a new white belt or somebody who's interested in starting jiu-jitsu. These are things that if I had the opportunity, I would go back in time and tell my white belt self to do. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, the first thing on the list is to never chase belts or promotions. The only thing you should be chasing is skill acquisition and skill development, right? Belts and promotions are nice and they make you feel good for like 24 hours, but the main thing that matters in the sport is to get better at the skill of jiu-jitsu and also to improve your athleticism in the gym. Those are the 2 things that are going to make you better. Now, obviously, wanting a belt or wanting to be promoted is just inevitable. When you're a white belt and you're looking around the gym and you see these higher belts walking around, obviously, there's gonna be a part of you that wants to be promoted so that you can move up the ladder. But what I'm suggesting is that you continuously refocus your energy on improving on your skills. And if you do that, over time, the promotions are just gonna come. When I stopped caring about belts and caring about promotions, that's when I started getting better the fastest, because the only thing I cared about was improving on the skills that I had. Number 2, do not judge your training on a day-to-day basis. If you judge your training on a day-to-day basis, you're constantly gonna have this like up and down of emotions, right? Because one day you're gonna walk in and you're gonna feel like a god and you're dominating everybody. You're a white belt, you're tapping blue belts. And then the next day you're gonna come in and you're gonna get absolutely smashed by the trial class guy. It's just part of the game, right? Like we all have days where we feel great and we all have days where we feel super off. And you might have a couple of those from week to week, right? I do think as you progress farther along in the sport, you tend to kind of like hit a consistency of level that slowly starts to slope up as you get better. But you know, every black belt, every brown belt, anyone who's good at jiu-jitsu has good days and bad days. So instead of judging your training on a day-to-day basis, what you should be doing is judging your training on a month-to-month or every few months and year-to-year basis, right? So think about it on a longer time scale. You don't want to think, oh, am I better than yesterday or am I better than last week? You want to go, am I better than I was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago? Did I learn new skills in that time frame? That's what you should be thinking about. If you look back 6 months and you go, hey, I haven't picked up any new skills or I'm still doing the exact same set of moves with no alterations, that's probably a bad sign. And at that point, you're going to need to consider, hey, why is that the case? How can I improve my training? Where am I weakest? What choices am I making that's leading to this lack of improvement? That's what you need to consider at that point in time. So, number 3. Now this one is rather obvious, but I think it needs to be said over and over again, and that is you need to drill more. It is crazy to me the amount of people who show up before every class. They maybe stretch for 30 seconds, they hop into class, they do the warm-up, they do the move of the day, they get their 5 rounds in, and then they walk off the mat and they never do jiu-jitsu outside of their designated class time. You have to be drilling moves outside of class. You need to be finding somebody outside of class that you can partner up with and work with. Start drilling moves that you want to add to your game, positions that you want to add to your game. I really do think that this is how you get better at jiu-jitsu. There are people who will say that you don't need to drill, you just need to go live. And I just think it's fucking insane. I didn't see a lot of improvement in my jiu-jitsu until I started to drill consistently. And now I'm not even saying that you have to be doing these epic 4-hour drilling sessions or something insane, right? This video is aimed at hobbyists, people who have other obligations and other things going on in life, like I do. So for us, drilling might just look like 10 to 15 minutes after class, finding somebody and working on something that went wrong inside of class, or meeting up with somebody in the morning at 8 o'clock and drilling for 30, 45 minutes, getting a little bit of a sweat in, and then going to work. That's all you need to do in order to add new moves to your game. And if you do that on a consistent basis, you're going to get better. I do think that there is this giant block of people within the world of jiu-jitsu who just never drill outside of class. And I think it's an important skill to have, because when you sit there with another person and work on the position, why something's working, why something's not working, it's going to improve your thought process about jiu-jitsu. And you should be able to say why a move's working, why it's not working. And obviously you're not going to be correct all the time, especially when you first get started, but you can always go to a higher belt or to your coach and ask the question again and get a much better answer. And that's what I find to be helpful, is like I come up with an assumption about something and then I go ask somebody way better than me. I say, hey, this is what I think is happening in this position, but I'm not entirely sure. Can you help me? And then they're going to either go, Taylor, you're a fucking idiot, or they're going to go, you kind of got it. Yeah. Like oftentimes you're going to walk into a black belt and they're going to be like, don't ever do that. But that's a good experience to have. You want to go through the experience of saying, I think this will work, come up with a reason why it will work, try to practice it with somebody, and then either go implement it in class or ask somebody better than you. And you'll quickly find out whether that's something you should implement into your game. So yeah, drill more. It's not going to hurt you. All right, number 4, you need to find coaches and mentors in the gym that you connect with and that their teaching style is appropriate for you. You know, not everybody's teaching style is going to work for you. Somebody can be a great teacher, but maybe they explain things in a way that just doesn't work for you. We're all different people and we all learn in different ways. And so that's something that you have to figure out. You have to figure out how you learn best and then implement that into your training. I'm very lucky to live in New York City, where there's tons of instructors everywhere and there's lots of different options of people to learn from. Honestly, almost every instructor I've had has been amazing. But if you're at a gym where you feel like you're not getting the information or attention you need, then you should find another gym. You are a paying customer of a business, and if you feel like you're not improving or your coach isn't helping you learn, then you should go somewhere else. Now, it is a delicate balance because you don't want to make these coaches and mentors into like some sort of perfect idol, right? I look at my BJJ instructors as BJJ instructors. They're not life coaches. They're not perfect individuals. They all have flaws and issues of their own, as everybody does in life, but they're very good at jiu-jitsu. So those are the questions that I go to them about. I think where people get it twisted is that they start to learn jiu-jitsu from somebody and they make them out to be some sort of like deity or god in their mind. So if you go on like the BJJ subreddit, that's where you find all of these horror stories of people with abusive coaches and wild experiences. It's unfortunate, but it is something that happens more consistently than it should. And I think the way around that is if the student is very realistic about the fact that these people are here to teach you jiu-jitsu, they're not here to teach you anything else. You know, obviously if you can pick up some other information from them, like if you feel like they're a good person, then it's okay to listen to them, but you need to use your best judgment. You're an adult and you should be carefully thinking about the people that you take information in from throughout your life. Oh, and another thing, just like while I'm talking about coaches and mentors and all this stuff, is if you're a hobbyist and like I said earlier, you don't have that much time to train, but you're still trying to improve, you shouldn't feel weird about taking a private lesson. For some reason in my mind, when I first got started, I felt like I never wanted to take privates because there was some sort of weird barrier in my mind that, oh, I don't need to take privates, I can just learn in class, which is the stupidest thing. Like, it's so dumb. When you think about it, the best way to learn from an instructor is to have one-on-one time with that instructor. So if you have the extra money and you care about getting better at jiu-jitsu, invest that money in a private lesson. You can come up with a schedule that works for your budget, right? Like, I honestly think that one private lesson with an instructor is enough information. If they're a good instructor, that will be enough information for you to work on that for over a month. Because there's no way that you're going to take all of the information that they give you in one session and incorporate it by the next week. Take a private lesson, bring a camera, bring your phone, set it up on a tripod, film the private class, go back and watch the footage at home, and then practice those moves throughout your training. I guarantee you if you do that 5 or 6 times a year and really take it seriously, it will have a direct impact on your progress. All right, finally, number 5, be incredibly consistent. At the end of the day, you need to spend time on the mat in order to get better. I think if you've been around the gym long enough, and if you've ever asked a black belt, hey, how do you get better? You ask some grizzly black belt on the side of the mat after a hard training session, you say, hey, how do I get my blue belt? how do I get my next stripe? Whatever the question is, they're gonna lean over, look at you, and be like, bro, it's just time on the mat, man. You just gotta get your mat time in. I think that's a little bit of a dated answer at this point, but it is true. That's the thing, right? Like there are all these other things that you need to work on in order to get better. But all of these other things, drilling, skill acquisition, learning the positions, learning what's that new training style called? That's ridiculous. Ecological training. All this stuff, all of it requires you to be on the mat in order to do it. So the most important thing is for you to be on the mat consistently over time in order to get better. And now I say this from experience because when I was a blue belt, there was definitely a couple times where I disappeared for 3 or 4 months, fell off the map, and would show up to the gym after my absence and get my ass beat by my colleagues and just have to slowly work myself back into a good schedule. And that's a difficult experience to go through, right? Is to, to go from being consistent to being inconsistent, consistent to inconsistent. It makes the goal of progressing very difficult. So since COVID, roughly 2019 or 2020, I have been very consistent with my training. And that's because I have a goal schedule in mind. Every 6 months or so, I write out a goal schedule. And this includes all the jiu-jitsu sessions I want to hit each week and my conditioning sessions that I want to hit. What that looks like right now, if I'm going for my optimal schedule, I have the perfect amount of time for jiu-jitsu to train as much as I want. That would be 6 days a week of jiu-jitsu, and that's like 6 to 7 classes, right? So maybe there's one day where I'm doing a double, and then 3 days a week of doing strength and conditioning. And that might be like lifting, mobility work, etc. And that's quite a bit for me. I can't really push it much harder than that. There's just not enough time in my week to incorporate more training sessions. But when things get super busy with work and life just starts to get in the way, obviously I don't have the time available to train that much. What would happen in the past is life would start to get super busy and I would get off my schedule and I would start to beat myself up about not being able to be at a training session or not being able to progress in the way that I wanted to. And that action of like beating myself up over and over again would lead to me falling off and disappearing. So what I do now is I write out a schedule for these periods of time where I start to get super busy. And this schedule will be a reduced amount of training, but it's still a consistent amount. So right now, my schedule for when I'm busy is like 3 to 4 training sessions a week and 1 to 2 strength and conditioning sessions, right? That's a step down from the first schedule. And then I'll even go a step further, like say I don't know, there's just a crisis going on in my life. My schedule might look like 1 to 2 training sessions a week, 1 lift. Now it's going to be tough to get better on that training schedule, but it will at least maintain the skills that you already have. The main thing you want to avoid is just these long blocks of time where you don't train. So I think you need to look at your life and your priorities and come up with these same levels of schedule for your situation, right? Sit down and think, here's what I have to do this week. Here's how many training sessions I can get. Here's how many lifting sessions I can get. Do your best to hit that goal. And even if you don't hit that goal exactly, having written it down and set it out for yourself, you're probably going to get way closer to it than you would have otherwise. So I'm going to wrap up the video there. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, drop a comment and like down below, maybe subscribe to the channel. I want to hear your thoughts about this kind of content. I know I've talked about doing jiu-jitsu before on the channel, but I've never actually made any videos about it. I want to hear your thoughts about this kind of content. If you have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know, and I will see you in the next video.